Hi, I'm Detective Hal, and this is a bagel and cream cheese. And in just a minute, I'm going to tell you how this bagel and cream cheese will get you hired and paid for life in a law enforcement career. Now, as you probably know, the average law enforcement pro makes $74,000 a year. Yet, it's possible to make upwards of $180,000 per year plus benefits, making it one of the best career paths available. Unfortunately, there are three hidden traps in the application and testing process, and not knowing them will cause you to fail almost immediately. I'll reveal what they are and how to navigate through these traps right here in this video, so that you cruise through the law enforcement hiring process and get hired without having to stress over the hiring process, without spending hour upon hour studying, and without ever questioning the fact that you are the number one applicant. I do have to give you a quick warning though. The techniques I teach you in this presentation are controversial, and I'm getting a ton of heat from law enforcement agencies that really don't like the fact that I'm teaching it. So I don't know how long I'll be able to show this presentation for, so watch this video now before it gets censored or removed. You see, interest in law enforcement careers is exploding right now, and for good reason, because it's a career that allows you to bank big paychecks, provide you and your family with the security of full medical, dental, and vision benefits. Never sit stuck behind a desk. Your job is to find and live the excitement. Feel an overwhelming sense of pride every time you put on your uniform, and retire with a top tier retirement program. That's full benefits and 90% of your pay for life. Now, you may think you've seen and heard everything out there related to the law enforcement hiring process, yet I guarantee that you've never seen the undiscovered secrets I'm going to share with you or been alerted to the traps that I'll help you skip right over. This is nothing like those boring and generic study guides that just tell you to study. So prepare to be shocked by what I reveal today. And remember, what I'm sharing with you today is going to give you the power to breeze through the hiring process, stress-free. And you're going to hear my proprietary secrets that'll give you 100% confidence knowing that you're the number one applicant. Now, I'm going to share all that with you and more. First, though, I have to share a quick story with you. And it's actually a story that I'm pretty embarrassed and ashamed to share. Yet, it's one you absolutely need to hear because it'll reveal more about the law enforcement hiring process than anything else I know. Deal? Well, I wasn't always the person talking to you today with a law enforcement resume that virtually every officer, deputy, and agent strive for. In fact, far from it. I struggled a lot to get into law enforcement. And this was scary because law enforcement really was my last option. Now, out of high school, I had my pick of several colleges, all of which were good schools. And looking back, I was pretty lucky to have had these options. But at 18 years old, it's tough to appreciate what's in front of you, and I sure didn't. Now, I can vividly remember walking in my high school graduation. It was a sunny day. Actually, it was a scorching hot day, and my cardinal red gown wasn't helping. I sat in a lopsided folding chair on the local junior college football field, surrounded by my fellow graduates, and I only had one thought on my mind. And no, it wasn't, I can't wait to start my future, or this is the start of the rest of my life. No, all I was thinking was, holy crap, I have to do another 4 years of school. I couldn't think of anything worse. And that feeling stayed with me all summer, and it was still there when I arrived at the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs that fall. Now, this was an awesome city and a great school, and I hated it. So I forced myself through a few weeks of school before I made a life-altering decision. I dropped out of college. I packed my 4Runner that day and hit the road. I had absolutely no plan. I just knew I needed to go. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm advocating dropping out of college. Present day me would have stuck it out, but hindsight's 2020 and my life ended up pretty good. So, I was 18 with a loaded down beater of an SUV and no idea what to do. I clunked around making my way back to my hometown on the central coast of California. Then one day, everything came crashing down. I pulled into a diner just outside of Salt Lake City. It was lunchtime and I was starving. I scarfed down something horrific for lunch and got the check. It was for $6.46. So I handed my waitress Patricia my credit card and took the last sips of my iced tea. I waited, and a few minutes later, Patricia came back, and in a raspy voice said one word that sent me into shock. Declined. She dropped my card on the table and walked away. I didn't have another card, and I only had enough money in my bank account to get me back to California. I was embarrassed. Actually, I was scared. I had no money, no plan, and no ideas. I was questioning everything I had done. Should I have just stayed in Colorado Springs and got my degree? Things would have been easy that way. So as my head was spinning, trying to think of a way to pay for my $6 lunch, I heard a commanding voice booming behind me. I was too stressed to hear the actual words, but I could tell he was talking to my waitress. I turned around and was horrified at what I saw. That commanding voice belonged to a cop, and not just any cop, Officer T. Monroe. I'll never forget his name, and I'll definitely never forget his stature. Now, pardon my language, but he was a brick shithouse. He was at least 6'5" and 245 pounds. Not an ounce of fat on him, and his biceps looked like they would rip through his uniform any second. I thought, great, now I'm going to go to jail over a crappy $6 lunch, and this guy's probably going to lump me up before he takes me in. I'm probably the exact type he enjoys taking his roid rage out on. Just then, Officer Monroe turned toward me. He looked me up and down, nodded, and turned and walked out the door. I watched him get into his patrol car and drive off. He never said a word to me. Now, I breathed a little sigh of relief. At least I wasn't going to be eating jail food for dinner. And at that moment, Patricia walked back over to me and said, "That officer covered your lunch." It caught me so off guard I didn't know what to think. The guy I thought was going to kick my ass and take me to jail actually helped me. And not only did he help me, he did it without looking for any kind of credit or even a thank you. I got back into my 4Runner, jumped on the I-80 West, and didn't stop until I was home. And during that 12-hour drive, I did a lot of thinking. The one thought that was always on the forefront of my mind was how Officer Monroe had helped me so selflessly. Then I had an epiphany. Everything became crystal clear. How could I have missed this? I was meant to be in law enforcement. I needed to do what Officer Monroe did. On that drive home, I decided that I was going to join the law enforcement family, no matter what it took. I also reflected on the fact that I needed to take things more seriously. I couldn't just float around on emotion anymore. I directed this new motivation toward getting into law enforcement, and I soon found several agencies that were actually hiring sworn deputies at 19 years old. This was it. This was where I was meant to be, and I wasn't going to let it get past me. There was one thing, however, standing in my way: the hiring process, a grueling months-long application and interview process. And the more I researched the hiring process, the more it became absolutely evident that this would be the hurdle. This is where my dreams could end. The old me probably would have just abandoned ship and just looked for something easier, but the new me was 100% determined. I spent the next 6 months reading every resource and guide on the planet for the law enforcement hiring process. But I didn't stop there. I talked to background investigators, officers, deputies, sergeants, admin, anyone who would hear me out. I even took a full load of criminal justice classes at the local junior college. The same junior college my high school graduation had been on just a half a year earlier. You see, I'm not some prodigy who had a law enforcement career laid out for them. I'm really a lot like you, just an average person who went through a hellish time. But through that tough time, I had a distinct, eye-opening experience that allowed me to focus and develop a system. A system that allows everyday people like me and you to obtain our dream of a law enforcement career and make it seem effortless. The system I followed is so powerful that it turned me into that guy. You know, the guy everyone assumes must come from a law enforcement family because he got hired so easily. Little do they know, right? Now, obviously, this system that got me hired as one of 7 out of over 600 applicants on my first try at only 19 years old, by simply ensuring that I stood out above all other applicants, changed my entire life. And I'll cover all the specifics and details in just a few moments with you, so keep watching. First, you absolutely must be told the truth. You have to know about the real problems that plague 99% of law enforcement applicants. The real reason why the hiring process leading into a law enforcement career is so tough. And it'll surprise you, because it's the one thing that's preventing or will prevent you from enjoying the career you dream about. And it's the reason why folks like us have had such a hard time beating out those prodigies for the few available law enforcement positions out there. The real problem is that you've been lied to, and these lies are holding you back from the career you want and deserve. One of these lies, which I call hidden trap number one, is that you have to memorize oral board questions. And I'll bet you've heard that and maybe even believed it to be true at some point in your quest for a law enforcement career. Yet, this is not even close to the truth. If you're one of the hundreds of thousands who fall victim to this lie every year, then you must decide now to believe the truth instead. Because if you don't, you'll just be another applicant among so many others who never actually gets to wear the badge. You'll just regurgitate a memorized answer to an oral board panel who's been trained to look for these generic answers and eliminate applicants who use them. And no matter how great an officer, deputy, or agent you would have been, will be irrelevant because you won't have the opportunity to show it. Listen, this is not what I want for you, and I know it's not what you want for yourself. This lie is in every manual, guide, and resource out there. It's not your fault. You're just trying to do the research. If you really want to place the blame, blame it on the people who feed this lie to so many eager and motivated applicants like you. The people who really don't care if you actually end up getting hired. The crooks who just want to make a buck selling those bogus guides. All the misleading information out there that gets pushed to new applicants is enough to confuse anyone. It certainly confused me. Now, Police Chief Magazine recently reported that of the 17,000 law enforcement agencies in the country, 80% have vacancies that they cannot fill. The magazine went on to say that in Los Angeles alone, there are over 720 vacant positions. Now, you know, from looking into a law enforcement as a career, these vacancies are not due to a lack of applicants. They're because applicants like you are fed so many lies related to the hiring process that these agencies are forced to eliminate applicant after applicant. Amazing, isn't it? Well, the truth is, you should never just repeat an answer you memorized in some guide. Why? Because like I touched on earlier, the oral board panel is trained to recognize these standard answers that they hear from applicant after applicant. And when you become an applicant who can only memorize what you read, you get eliminated. Law enforcement agencies aren't looking for someone who can quote from a guide. They don't want a follower who's dependent on someone else to give them exact answers. They don't want someone who can't think for themselves. Now, there's another lie, and this is the monster of all lies. This is hidden trap number 2, which says to get hired, all you have to do is pass each phase of the hiring process. Get a good written test score, pass the lie detector, make it through the psych exam, and you'll get hired. Well, guess again. This is as wrong can be. And if you believe this lie, let me tell you what will happen to you. You'll spend months preparing for the hiring process and will actually feel confident going into it. You'll get through a few phases of the process and your confidence will rise. After a couple more months and endless amounts of paperwork, testing, and time, you'll be in the last stages of the hiring process. I'll even make the concession that you make it through the oral board using what the guide told you. Then, one day, you'll be done, and you'll ask the agency, what now? And they'll tell you, you're number 42 on the hiring list. Yep, this means that you're the 42nd person that they'll offer a job to. And let me assure you, by the time they get to your number, they'll have thrown out that list and will build a new one, and you'll be left with a choice. Go through the entire hiring process again, or move on, neither of which sound any good. There's no way I want you to experience rejection like this. Well, just like the first nasty lie, there's some good news. You're not to blame for believing in this lie. The real villain here certainly isn't you. Again, it's these fraudulent guides and resources. The people who write these guides, they might know the phases of the hiring process, and they might even know the details about each phase. Heck, they might even be able to get you through every phase. Yet, they don't know how to get you hired. The truth is, there's so much more to getting hired than simply passing all the phases. Why? Well, I'll tell you. There'll be a lot of applicants who pass the phases, so simply relying on this means you'll just be one of many. You need to stand out above everyone else, and you don't do this by scoring better or testing better. Now that you know the problem, that there are so many misleading guides out there that flat out tell you lies, Let's get right into the secrets that I have for you today. These are the same secrets that got me hired at 19 years old, and then again 2 years later when I lateraled over to a different agency. And the secrets I shared with the select few that propelled them into their law enforcement careers. And the most important of these secrets is my background buzz factor. I'll go into the specifics of the background buzz factor in just a second, so you're definitely going to want to keep watching. First, you absolutely must know about the one thing in the physical agility testing phase that you have to avoid if you ever want to get hired. And actually, this is going to surprise you. In fact, most people believe doing this will actually make them look good. But if you do, you'll make a terrible impression on the hiring unit. And because the physical agility test is one of the first tests, this will be your first impression. This is hidden trap number 3. I want you to avoid showboating your fitness. Now, please understand, I'm not telling you to sandbag it or not show how fit you are, but don't flaunt it. It's more important here to show that you're a team player than it is to show that you're the fittest person. In law enforcement, you depend on fellow officers in life and death situations. You need to prove that you can look out for your peers. If you finish one of the tests faster than others, get back out there and cheer them in. Or even better, go back and run alongside them for the duration. Just doing this one tip will ensure that you get noticed over all other applicants. Make the best possible first impression on the hiring unit. Plus, prove that you possess the single most important character trait of a law enforcement officer. Just picture it. Following this one little tip will immediately have the hiring unit thinking that you're a beat partner they would want to have. Isn't that an awesome thing to imagine, all from such a simple tip? You'll create this picture of you within the hiring unit personnel's heads, a picture of you as an actual officer, deputy, or agent. And this will be their first impression of you. More about that in just a minute. Now, how would you actually like to enjoy the law enforcement hiring process and make lifelong friends along the way? Well, if you take advantage of this next simple tip, you will, and it'll give you a huge advantage in getting hired. All you need to do is a simple little thing, something you'd probably actually pay to do. I want you to schedule 3 or more ride-alongs with the agency that you're planning to apply with. And maybe you've already done this or we're planning on doing it anyway, and that's great. But you need to follow the specifics in the secret to take full advantage of the ride-alongs. So listen close, okay? I want you to set up your ride-along through the hiring unit. This will give you the awesome opportunity to introduce yourself to them before you ever apply. When you do this, you need to make sure that you make the perfect first impression on them. You're going to want to schedule the ride-along on a shift that's active. You'll have a lot more fun riding around with a proactive officer, and these types of officers will be more open to the relationship I want you to build with them. Now, during your valuable time on this ride-along, your goal is to make an emotional connection with this officer. Get them on your side. The fun and excitement of the ride-along sets the perfect atmosphere for some great bonding. Show your interest in the career and your willingness to learn. Now, this next part is absolutely critical. Remember, the officer is the expert, and you are the know-nothing future applicant. Be a sponge. This is a chance for you to learn, not a chance for you to try to prove what you know. By doing this, you create a mentor-pupil relationship, and once that's established, you have the absolute biggest advantage possible going into the hiring process. You have an officer from within the department ready to go to bat for you. Now, at the end of the ride-along, I want you to ask the officer if they'd be willing to give you their phone number, just in case you have any questions down the road. And if you built the mentor-pupil relationship properly, they'll jump at this. Now, if you do 3 or more ride-alongs with different officers and build this relationship with each one, when you actually apply, the hiring unit will be facing a mutiny if they don't hire you. The key is, during the hiring process, there are very specific phases where you'll need to use these relationships you built to propel you past all other applicants. Pretty sneaky, right? Well, most applicants will only be thinking about how they have to ace the written test or memorize scenarios for the oral board. They're buying into the lies. You'll be the only applicant that has built a massive fan club within the department, all chanting your name. Imagine this. You show up to a meeting with your background investigator, and in the office, you bump into one of the officers you're now great friends with. Just picture the impression this will leave. Your background investigator will automatically put you in the his peers already accept him category. And if you recall from earlier, it's critically important for your background investigator to picture you as a beat partner. And it gets even better. I need to give you a quick warning though. Without utilizing this third secret, the first two are worthless and will not get you hired. This is the secret that will allow you to breeze through the hiring process, knowing with 100% certainty that you are the number one applicant, never doubting for 1 second that you'll get hired, and without having to study hours on end for the tests or memorizing hundreds of oral board questions and scenarios, and coming out on the other side with your dream career. And get this secret actually makes it virtually impossible for the department not to hire you. When they look at the pool of applicants, you will always jump out at them. This secret is my patented background buzz factor system, and it's been used with nearly 100% success by everyone I've shared it with. Here's how it works. Remember at the beginning of this video how I told you that a bagel and cream cheese was the missing link that would get you hired? And you probably thought I was crazy. Well, pay close attention because I'm about to explain. Now, contrary to popular belief, the most important factor to getting you hired is not how you score on the test or your oral board score. Yes, you have to pass the test to be eligible for hire, and that's really the easy part, and I'll definitely teach you how to do that too. However, the most important factor that will decide whether you get hired into the law enforcement family is your buzz factor. Now, what do I mean by buzz factor? I mean the hype and talk you build around yourself within the department. And believe me, absolutely no one within the department will talk at all about the fact you scored 100% on the written test. But they might talk about the fact that you brought them bagels and cream cheese. You see where this is going? People care about themselves. As narcissistic as it is to say, people don't care much about things that don't directly affect them. And your test score definitely doesn't affect them, but the bagels and cream cheese that filled their bellies does. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to this than bagels and cream cheese, but it all works along the same concept. Make people within the department know and like you. When you go to the department to drop off papers or meet with your background investigator, introduce yourself to everyone you possibly can. And I don't just mean the officers, deputies, or agents. I mean the records clerks, the administrative assistants, the janitorial staff, etc. Here's why. The people who do the hiring are the administrators, the lieutenants, commanders, and deputy chiefs. These people have climbed the ladder and were rewarded with a big paycheck, a lot of power, and a boring desk job. They aren't out in the field with the patrol officers. In fact, they probably rarely ever see or even talk to the patrol officers. So who do they see every day and talk to every day? Yup, the records clerks, the administrative assistants, the janitorial staff, and the other non-sworn staff that works in the office. These are the people who can best create your buzz factor. You want all these people to not only know your name, but to look forward to the next time you come in. I promise you 100% that if you spend the time to build these relationships on a personal level and bring them bagels and cream cheese a time or two, they will talk about you, and they'll talk about you to the people who matter. Talk about incredible. Picture this for yourself. You walk through the office and can greet everyone you pass by their name and a personal question. Oh, hi Becky, how was Tanner's first baseball game? Think of the power and influence this will have on your background investigator. How could they not hire you? You already know everyone and are accepted by everyone. Heck, it's pretty much like you already work there. And that is the background buzz factor, instilling the idea that you already belong, that hiring you is a simple choice because you already fit in and are accepted. You do have to be a little careful, and there are specific rules to follow if you hope to execute this properly. Otherwise, you could end up that annoying applicant who bothers everyone. Yet, when done right, this is what will put you on a pedestal above every other applicant. Try to picture the look on the other applicants' faces when you're joking around with everyone in the office and they don't even know these people's names. They'll look at you in disbelief and wonder, what do you know? Well, you know the secrets and you know the system to build your buzz and get hired. Now, okay, that was a lot to cover, and you might be feeling a bit overwhelmed or confused, and that's okay. But it all boils down to the fact that you have two choices on where you go from here. Choice one, take the information in this presentation and try to go it alone. And who knows, you might have a decent shot if you took really careful notes today. Or there's choice two, the savvy choice. This is the quickest, easiest, and smartest way to get the career you deserve. Let me do the work for you. And you know what? I already have. Why start from scratch and try to reinvent the wheel when I've laid out your exact step-by-step blueprint to get you hired and starting your law enforcement career? One that's been tested, one that countless men and women are starting their careers with, and achieving that law enforcement career at last without studying days on end for tests, without worrying about the other applicants, and without regurgitating memorized answers in the oral board. Here's what the vast majority decide to do. It's called Career Cop. I'm Detective TJ Howe, creator of Career Cop. Career Cop is the one and only resource dedicated to the law enforcement hiring system that makes it so simple for you to stand out over every other applicant and get hired. This remarkably simple system will work for you even if you have no law enforcement experience, have never taken a criminal justice class, failed out of a police academy, applied at one or more agencies already and haven't gotten hired, applied with an agency and are in the hiring process now, decided to change careers from a totally unrelated field. Think you're too old for a law enforcement career. Think you're too young and lack the life experience. Have only ever worked a desk job. Have never even held a real job. Or if you think you've tried everything. Now, let me tell you what Career Cop is not, just so you know exactly what you're about to experience. This is not just another study guide that only delivers worthless material that you're expected to study for hours upon hours. This is not some memorize me and get hired resource that only wants you to memorize answers instead of learning how to formulate your own answers. You've been lied to enough. It's time for a real solution that works without the gimmicks. And this is definitely not a learn these tests and memorize these answers approach that's so easily recognized by background investigators. Rather, Career Cop is the result of my 10 plus years of law enforcement experience, my own experiences in the hiring process, but most importantly, the information you're going to find in Career Cop is direct from the mouths of police chiefs, sheriffs, administrators, hiring lieutenants and sergeants, and background investigators. These are the people who actually make the hiring decisions. These are the people you need to impress if you want to start your law enforcement career. My position as a narcotics detective requires me to travel and to constantly work with outside agencies, other local, state, and federal agencies. This is the key to the valuable information you're going to find in Career Cop. All these connections I've made, I called on to help make Career Cop the absolute best and most complete system to get you hired. My connections connected me to more people who connected me to more people. Pretty soon, I had a completely full Rolodex of people who were directly involved in the hiring process with their agency and were more than willing to help make Career Cop the #1 resource for America's future officers, deputies, and agents. With my own experiences and in-depth insight from the experts, I was able to create a solution to the staggering problem of hiring resources only teaching non-specific and memorization techniques as a method to achieving a law enforcement career. Career Cop has become the secret behind so many success stories in law enforcement careers, and now, starting today, their success can be your success too. The superior level of information that went into Career Cop gives you the freedom to confidently enter into the hiring process with absolutely any law enforcement agency in the country, knowing that you have the insider secrets to stand out above all other applicants. Excel through every phase of the hiring process without studying for hours memorizing generic answers. All while you remain 100% stress-free and finally claim the law enforcement career you completely deserve. Before we go any further, I wouldn't feel right if I wasn't absolutely 100% honest with you. If you're only looking for an irrelevant sample test or generic answers to some possible oral board questions or some other guide that you already know will never actually work for you, you know the ones that promise to give you every single possible question you could ever see with the perfect answers. Well, if that's what you want, then leave this page now. This system is for men and women who are ready to move past the study guides and don't want to just regurgitate memorized answers, yet still want a totally mapped out system to achieve a law enforcement career. In short, you can't make it on sample tests and potential questions, yet I've created a complete system that makes getting hired as simple as it could possibly be. So if you're wanting the real answer to getting hired, then here's what you can expect. If you want to be 100% prepared for every phase of the hiring process, be absolutely confident that you are the number one applicant, stop studying generic guides, create a major background buzz factor, stand out above every other applicant, and get hired fast, then Career Cop isn't just a system for you, it's the only system for you. Now, let's take a look at what you'll receive today inside your copy of Career Cop. In step 2 of the system, you'll discover a complete step-by-step process to creating your background buzz factor. This includes the exact scenarios where you need to develop rapport with very specific people in a precise manner to create the biggest background buzz factor and stand out above all other applicants. And I'll even give you some icebreakers you can use if you don't have a naturally outgoing personality. In step 6 of the system, you'll learn how your social media accounts can influence your background investigator and what you can do to make sure those accounts give off the exact right impression of you. In step 7 of the system, you'll find out how to select the ideal references to list in your personal history statement. And in step 10, you'll be introduced to the only way to guarantee your success in the oral board interview, a method that works for virtually everyone who applies it. Now, as you've probably noticed by now, Career Cop is the simplest way to ensure your success in the hiring process, as it includes, yet goes way beyond teaching exactly how to be successful in every phase of the process and shows you how to make 100% certain that you are the number one applicant. And being the number one applicant means you get hired fast. No sitting in limbo for months, waiting and hoping to get hired. In fact, it's completely routine for Career Cop users to shorten their time in the hiring process by up to 25% when compared to the national average. And this is a pretty remarkable statistic, considering Career Cop users are seeing these results while spending hardly any time at all, studying test example after test example, memorizing generic answers to potential questions, and are enjoying peace of mind knowing that they are totally prepared, and a stress-free hiring process. Now, you may believe that a system that can do this much for you would carry a hefty price tag. And honestly, it really should. After all, this system is responsible for propelling countless applicants through the hiring process and into their careers. And I'll get to the price in just a few moments. First, I want to share a few other unique benefits this one-of-a-kind system will deliver to you. You'll discover the 3 oral board lies that you absolutely must avoid at all costs in order to achieve the results you desire, covered in step 8. You'll also discover an unbelievable clever technique to make any agency look at you as a prize that they absolutely must hire. Like the Career Cop users before you, I want you to experience feeling like the prize. Plus, I'll be revealing exactly how you can stand out above every other applicant and the specific situation-by-situation times you need to build rapport and with whom in order to create the ultimate background buzz factor. Now the price. The price of the Career Cop system sold by itself is valued at $135. Yet today, you're not just receiving the Career Cop system. Just for watching this presentation today, I'm going to give you absolutely free some valuable bonuses to even further assure that you're 100% successful in starting your career. The first free gift I have for you is a cheat sheet guide to make sure you always make the perfect first impression during every phase of the hiring process. I call it dressing the part. As humans, we have a built-in tendency to base our perception of someone almost entirely off of our first impression. And the very first thing that sets up our first impression is appearance, how we look and how we're dressed. You'll meet and deal with a huge number of different people in different capacities throughout the hiring process. It's absolutely critical to make a stellar first impression, starting with your appearance. With so many different situations you're going to be put into and have to prepare for, the last thing you want to have to think about is what to wear. With dressing the part, you won't have to think about it. I give you an easy to follow cheat sheet that lays out exactly what to wear for every single phase, meeting, and scenario you could possibly encounter during the hiring process. Dressing the part carries a value of $24, but today it's yours free. You'll also get a very limited special bonus. In fact, I can only guarantee that this bonus will be available free today. It's my acclaimed Get on the Fast Track ebook. This ebook will reveal secrets that are pretty ninja, which you can use to guarantee that you get through the hiring process as fast as humanly possible. Get on the Fast Track on its own has been the driving force behind applicants cutting months off the time they spent in the hiring process. And the real beauty of these secrets is that virtually no other applicants will know them, so you'll blow past them like they're standing still. Get on the Fast Track is valued at $32 and is in huge demand, which is why I can only guarantee it'll be free today. You can see why the Career Cop system is valued at $135. Even without the bonuses, this is a steal. And if you bought the bonuses by themselves, your total investment today would be nearly $200. However, just by watching this presentation today, you've secured a much better deal. Just keep watching because this deal is only promised for today. Of course, you could choose to just continue down the path you're on right now and just dream about the high pay, medical, and dental benefits. Oh, and let's not forget about one of the best retirement plans you'll find anywhere. Yes, my system could be all you need to secure a lifetime of financial security. Yet, without it, you could be stuck in the same circle of struggles that led you here. And that isn't what I want for you. So let's make this a really easy decision, okay? I feel you deserve to know why I'm about to offer you such an insane discount today. I want to share my personal goal with you. It's to solve what I consider to be a huge problem today. And I invite you, along with the thousands of others just like you who are already helping, by absolutely dominating the daunting law enforcement hiring process, flying through the process at Mach speed, and building an unignorable background buzz factor that has agencies racing to hire them. So we can accomplish my goal of getting the ranks of this nation's law enforcement agencies 100% staffed, with at least 34,000 of the absolute best possible officers, deputies, and agents our country has to offer. People like you. Well, I'm well on my way to accomplishing this goal, and once completed, I'm sure I'll set a new one. But I thought 34,000 was a great start because there are about 17,000 law enforcement agencies in the U.S., and if I can help us get 2 great new officers into each agency, can you imagine it? 2 more officers in every precinct, jurisdiction, and district, preventing crime, arresting criminals, and protecting citizens. This is what our country needs. Safer streets for our kids, and people like you can make this happen. And that's why I decided I absolutely need to help as many of these new generation officers like you get hired, and why I started my cause, a cause I call Operation Fill the Ranks. The good news, that means a much lower price for you because I want you to join the cause and I don't want finances to stop anyone. So let's get you the information you need so you can cruise through the law enforcement hiring process and get into your career starting right now. That means that today you will not be paying the retail price for Career Cop and the bonuses. Not even close. Your investment today will not be $200. Not even half that. Not even $87. Your total investment today, which includes the Career Cop system and all the bonuses you see above, is now only one payment of just $67. Listen, don't decide right now. Take advantage of my unconditional triple guarantee. Just try the Career Cop system for yourself for a full 60 days. If you don't experience the advantages you expect in the law enforcement hiring process in those 60 days, or if within 30 days you don't feel like you're 100% ready and confident to start the hiring process, or even if you simply just don't like the way I write, or the font I write in, or anything else you can possibly think of, I'll gladly refund every penny. No questions, no hassles. Look below this video right now. Click on the big yellow button that says Add to Cart to claim your discounted price now. Plus, if you act now before this presentation ends, I'll toss in this one-of-a-kind super bonus worth over $147. And this super bonus is exclusive access to my network of resources. You'll get access to a secret email address where you can send any specific questions you have. But here's the kicker. We protect this email address, and it'll reject emails that aren't from approved senders, which you'll become when you purchase Career Cop today. When you send us questions, they'll be reviewed by a panel of experts who will give you specific answers for your exact situation. Now, I've spent over a decade building this network of resources, yet I'm giving you free access to them today. That brings your total value to over $300. Yet today, if you act now, it's all yours for just one payment of only $67. Remember, it's not just a great bargain you're getting today. You'll be joining in on one of the biggest movements to fill the ranks of the nation's law enforcement agencies with qualified and motivated officers. And you'll become part of this new generation of the law enforcement family. Click on the big yellow button that says Add to Cart to claim your discounted price now. You'll have instant access to everything, the Career Cop system and all the bonuses. Plus, your free exclusive access to my network of resources worth $147 just for taking immediate action today. As soon as you click the Add to Cart button below this video, first, you'll be taken to our 100% secure checkout page, where you'll see a full recap of everything that's included for you today. Then, after your order, you can select the add-ons you prefer to help you get hired even faster. Then, simply click on the button that says Complete Your Order. You'll be automatically redirected to a secure members-only page where you can instantly download Career Cop and all of your free bonuses. It's that simple. Remember, you've been ready for a law enforcement career for some time now, and the frustration of continuing to procrastinate about your future will only cycle you backwards to the same things that led you here in the first place. Frustration with your current job, financial insecurity, no sense of pride or accomplishment, or whatever else led you to realize that law enforcement is for you. Yet, all of this can change the moment you begin applying step 1 in the Career Cop system. Picture the moment you finally have the answer you need to get hired and begin the path to your ideal future. You feel empowered, full of confidence and optimism. You start cruising through the hiring process today, never doubting the fact that you'll get hired. You're experiencing the assurance that you'll start your career and all the financial security, stability, and fulfillment you deserve at long last. Yes, it's true. Your hesitation to enter the hiring process up until today has largely been no fault of your own. It's true that getting hired is a daunting process, and the other guides that are supposed to help you just feed you lies. The study these test guides, the memorize these answers resources, and the false promises no one stands behind. However, today marks your day to take responsibility, to take the action necessary to put an end to the lies, and finally start on a true path to starting your law enforcement career with a system that simply works. And unlike those false solutions, this one is guaranteed to work. Try it for a full 60 days and see the results you desire, or you pay absolutely nothing. Plus, you're always minutes away from an answer with our friendly support staff. Look below this video right now. Click on the yellow button that says Add to Cart to claim your discounted price. You'll be granted instant access to everything, the Career Cop system and all the bonuses. Plus, your free exclusive access to my network of resources worth $147 just for taking immediate action today. Immediately after you order, you need to download the Career Cop system. Then immediately go to Step 1 and map out your plan of action. Step 1 outlines exactly what you need to do leading up to applying for a law enforcement position. Remember, along with Step 1, you'll also be receiving the complete Career Cop system. This is your easy-to-follow system that outlines exactly what you need to do to stand out above every other applicant and get hired into the law enforcement family. Dress the part, so you know exactly what to wear to every phase of the hiring process to make the perfect first impression. Get on the fast track, where you'll learn the insider secrets to drastically shorten your time stuck in the hiring process. And my super bonus, exclusive access to my personal resources. You can get all your hiring process questions personally answered by the experts who actually do the hiring. Just do not not put this off 1 second longer. Here's why. First, as you recall, I lowered the price by over half just so you can jump in now. Yet eventually, I'm going to raise that price back up to where it really deserves to be. So act now before that happens. Also, you don't want to feel left out of my super bonus. Access to my personal resources will cap out its membership quota. Only the first comers will be guaranteed access to it. Everyone else will be out of luck. And let's not forget, unless you take action right now, you may never take action. You may do what some people do and put it off. Just a few more days, which will turn into months, then years. And you'll look back one day in the future and realize you never did it. You never took that step to better your future and accomplish your goals. So let's make sure you get what you really want and do the only smart thing you can do. Take advantage of this limited time offer while you still can. Click the yellow Add to Cart button below, and let's get you started now. You're still here, which means you probably have some questions. Well, I'm going to answer the most common questions and concerns that I hear. So here's the first question that I see a lot. I don't have any law enforcement training or experience. Well, that's absolutely okay. In fact, a lot of times departments will look at you like a blank slate. In other words, you aren't carrying any baggage. And I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to get hired, and then your department will train you on all the law enforcement skills and knowledge. So your lack of training or experience is not a bad thing, and it won't hurt you in getting hired. All right, next question. I heard you need to have graduated the police academy to apply for a job. Well, first and foremost, this is completely untrue. When you apply, there'll be a section on the application that'll indicate what position you're applying for. And you'll see lateral transfer, academy graduate, and recruit. Now, a lateral transfer is someone who already works as a sworn officer and are looking to transfer to a different department. An academy graduate is someone who's completed a police academy, and a recruit is someone with no training or experience. So they put all three of these on the application for a reason, and not having graduated the academy is definitely not a downside. So the next question, kind of playing off that one, will I be at a disadvantage if I apply as a recruit? And the answer is no. If the department is offering recruit hiring, then they're absolutely prepared to hire a recruit. In fact, most departments actually prefer to send their officers to a specific police academy, and some of the bigger agencies, they actually have their own police academy, so they might actually require this. And so if you actually went to a different police academy, it could actually be looked at as a negative. So applying as a recruit is not a bad thing. Okay, next question. Do I need to be in fantastic shape to pass the physical agility? And no, the physical agility doesn't require a huge level of fitness, but I do recommend training at least a little for it because you don't want to risk it. And there are also some specific things that you'll have to do that require some techniques. So it's not necessarily being in great shape, but it's understanding the techniques to complete the tests. And don't worry, I'm going to show you all of this in the Career Cop system. Next question. Can I continue to work my current job while I'm in the hiring process? And the answer to this is of course. You're going to have to be able to support yourself and pay your bills. And if your work is flexible, it makes it all the better because you will probably have to take some time or some days off to complete parts of the hiring process. But it also helps to give your background investigator your work schedule at the beginning of the background process so that they know what your availability is going to be and what you're already committed to. Next question. What is the starting pay for police officers? Well, this really varies from department to department, and especially from one part of the country to another. But the pay is usually consistent when compared to cost of living for that area. There's a department near me that actually starts their brand new officers at close to $90K a year. But the big thing with law enforcement is that it's overtime rich, which means there's always an opportunity to work extra assignments for overtime pay. And this is where I make a lot of my money, is in this overtime where you get paid double time or time and a half. Next question. How long should I plan on the hiring process taking? Well, that's a good question. I've heard of it taking up to 6 months, and I've personally gone through it in less than 2 months. But 3 to 4 months is pretty average. But with the techniques that I'm going to teach you in the Career Cop system, I'm going to make sure that you get through as fast as possible. As fast as that agency can get you through is how fast you'll get through. Let's see, next question. I'm interested in law enforcement, but I'm still not sure it's exactly right for me. This is an important question to answer before starting the hiring process. And in step 1 of the Career Cop system, I'm going to explain all the steps that you should go through to figure out if law enforcement is right for you. So before you go into the hiring process, before you put in all that work preparing, you'll understand if law enforcement is what you really want to be doing. Now remember, along with step 1, you'll also be receiving the complete Career Cop system. This is your easy to follow system that outlines exactly what you need to do to stand out above every other applicant and get hired into the law enforcement family. You're also going to get dressed the part, so you know exactly what to wear to every phase of the hiring process to make the perfect impression. You're going to get on the fast track, where you'll learn the insider secrets to drastically shorten your time stuck in the hiring process. And my super bonus, exclusive access to my personal resources. You can get all your hiring process questions personally answered by the experts who actually do the hiring. Click the yellow Add to Cart button below, and let's get you started now.